Okay. Okay. Marto. Okay, so I don't know how to I don't know how to begin. First, I'll say thank you. We go from Yom Kippur to learning. Okay, now the refrain has to be how many Torah do we have? Come on, Yossi, how many Torah? Yossi, you have to stay after class. Oh yeah. No, not three, but how many Torah do we have? Two. We have the written and the oral. Okay. Now, why am I throwing you this, what I thought was a fastball, not a curveball? Why am I throwing you this first thing this morning? Because I'm going to ask you a silly question. What's happening this Friday night? So you're going to tell me it's Sukkos, and I'm not going to argue with you on that one. However, I'm going to tell you, and you're going to see in a few moments, that this Friday night, yes, it is part of Sukkos, but it doesn't have all the laws of Sukkos. Wait, just give me 2 minutes. So once again, I am so excited about the concept that we have two Torah. We have a written Torah and an oral Torah. And what do we do when there's like a, what's it called, hand wrestle? You know, which one's going to win? The written Torah or the oral Torah? So the answer is Yom Kippur. Now, Rabbi Marcos asked me first that after my Rebbe on Kol Nidre, that we talk about the Avodah. So we did one aspect of the Avodah. There's a whole different aspect to the Avodah, which we should all live me well. We can talk about next year. But the way, just take my word for it, the way the Torah presents the Avodah that we read yesterday as the Kriyas Torah for Shabbos is different than the way it was actually done. Meaning, the way it's found in the Torah, the Kohen Gadol had 3 immersions. And according to the Torah Shebaal Peh, the oral law, he has 5, and we follow the oral law. So don't tell me we're not listening to the Torah. Of course we are. But the Torah tells us to follow the oral law. So it's fascinating. Here we go. What's happening this Friday night? So I'm going to show it to you. You each have a copy of the Aruch HaShulchan. Now, the Aruch HaShulchan is the Shulchan Aruch with background. So that's why you have one sheet on the upper left, let us say 99, and this is Yud Daled, bottom left, right? So we're on the same page. Yud Daled, you have it, everybody? Yes? Okay? Yud Daled, Kosav Rambam. So the Rambam writes in chapter 6, halacha 7 of Sukkah, Achila B'layla Yom Tov HaRishon B'Sukkah Chova. Got that? It's mandatory. Chova means it's mandatory. And now, V'afilu Ochal Kazayas. Underline that one word. You're going to see how important that one word is in a minute. Even if you only ate a kazayas pas of bread, yotza. You satisfied your obligation, yotza yedei chavasa. Now watch this. Mikan va'elech, after the first night, rishus, it's optional if you want to eat in your sukkah. Don't tell me I don't have a sukkah and it's a half a mile to walk to the shul sukkah and it's a big pain. No, I have a sukkah. Am I obligated to eat in my sukkah? So the Rambam says, sure you are, on the first night, okay? Bottom line of the text here, Rishus. If you want to have a seuda, I'm going to use the term you'll see in a moment, full meal, soed basuka. And full meal is going to include bread. Okay, can you hear me? Full meal is going to include bread. Top line on the next slide, 100 upright. Yes, yeah.
So if I go in that the first night, I make kiddush and I wash and have a piece of challah, right? And then I say, I'm going inside. Did I get any mitzvah?
For sure.
If I had the rest of my meal inside the house.
Technically speaking, yes. We'll give it a minute and see where this is coming from. Okay, watch. So if a person wants to have a meal, and by now I'm throwing in, as you'll see where I'm getting this from, a meal with bread, soed basuka, ratza eina ochel kol shiva. If a person is all of a sudden, he's going now on a healthy binge. And what does that mean? Eina ochel kol shiva. For the next 7 days, you know what I'm going to eat? Payros. I'm going to eat fruits, kloyos, nuts. I'm going to eat vegetables, chutz l'sukkah. Okay? You can do that. In other words, there's only an obligation, capital O, to eat on the first night. Listen carefully now. And where's this coming from? Let's get to it right away. Kedin achilas matzah bepesach, just like the law of matzah on the night of Pesach. So Yossi says, wait a second. Why are we mixing these two holidays? Now you're going to see in a moment while we're mixing it. But watch. So the Rambam is putting, he's right. He's codifying what the Gemara tells us, that there is a strong relationship, as we'll see in a moment. Ad kan l'shon. All right? So the first thing that you should be bothered by is not necessarily the word that I underlined, namely kazayas, which we'll come back to in a few moments. You should be bothered by something else. When I said that this Friday night is Sukkot, but it also happens to be Shabbos, so wait a second. Friday night, Rambam says, eat a kazayas in your sukkah. Okay. Now how about Shabbos lunch? Am I not obligated to eat a piece of bread, Shabbos lunch, for my su'uda? Okay? So why not have that in my sukkah? Keep that in the back of your mind. Now, the truth of the matter is, if we only had the Rambam, he would have put Zevi out of business a long time ago. Watch. Here goes. One second. Third line down. Ad kan l'shono. This is the exact teaching of the Rambam. V'hine lidvarav. Now, let's do this very carefully together. Here goes Milty, every word. According to the Rambam, now remember, he is no slouch. V'hine lidvarav, ein chiyuv klal lechol pas biyom tov. According to the Rambam, there is no obligation to eat bread on Yom Tov. On Shabbos, it happens to be, so he would have said, okay, we'll throw in Shabbos lunch this year. But on Yom Tov, now don't cancel your order at Zaidi. But according to the Rambam, Ein Chiyuv Klal, there's no obligation, Lechol Pas B'Yom Tov, Levad, except for Laila or Rishona. Okay? And Vigam, watch this, and he proves his point in terms of this concept of Rambam, Yom Tov, etc. Vigam beperik vav mi Yom Tov. So what we've been learning from the Rambam till now was the Rambam in Hilchos Sukkah. But how about the Rambam who has a category of laws entitled Yom Tov in chapter 6 of the laws of Yom Tov? Watch this. Lo hiskir achilas pas klal biyom tov. The Rambam doesn't mention an obligation of eating bread on Yom Tov. Ella, he does mention oneg shel basar v'yayin. He only mentions that on Yom Tov there's an obligation to have meat and wine. The Rabbi, yes, man.
Question, because you brought it up, Oneg Shabbos. Am I gonna eat in the rain, Oneg?
Oh my goodness, excellent question, excellent question. But first of all, you're assuming that there's an obligation to eat in the rain, and we'll see where that comes from. We'll bring it all together in the next few minutes, but I'm glad you're listening. Here we go. Yeah.
When he's comparing Pesach to Sukkot,
Right.
it's not apples and apples. Because Pesach, the mitzvah is to eat the korban Pesach. Sukkot, the mitzvah is to live in the sukkah.
Good. So first of all, it's not going to help. The fact that you gave the wrong answer before, don't try to cover up with korban Pesach. The answer is the Rambam is not going to bring in korban Pesach, but he will bring in matzah. Watch here. So listen carefully. So in chapter 6 of Hilchos Yom Tov, he doesn't mention eating bread at all, but the oneg of basar v'yayin, and only on Shabbos, in chapter 30, does he mention gimel su'udos shall pass v'lo b'yom tov. So interesting. If you stood online to have challah for Rosh Hashanah, and if you stood, well, first day was Shabbos, so okay, but you got the idea. Now, Vizel, interesting, the Rambam says, excuse me, the Aruch HaShulchan is telling us that this strange idea is also the opinion of Tosfos and the Rush in the Gemara Sukkah 27a. Stop. Avo, the Brachos, okay, in 49b, there we don't find, there we find a difference of opinion. Lokas Vokain, period, Behoran. In Sukkah, all right, Sham Kosav Diyesh Chiyov Lecho Mizonos. Interesting. Below Pas Shalamotzi. So we're getting beyond the veggies and the fruits. There's an obligation of at least having mizonos, but not necessarily bread. And Uviyushalmi mashma lehedja b'sukkah sham, like the Tosfos and the Rush in Sukkah Ayin Sham. Okay, so he's bringing us interesting sources that do not obligate you to have bread on Yom Tov. Now, obviously, Minhag Yisrael is not that way. So just it's nice to see how we have expanded. But now watch. And Kvor Kosav Nuzeh Li'el, we've written this earlier. Ulhalocha Nirem Kidas Haran, which means that you should have more than just veggies. You can have cake. However, so according to this, a very practical question. Oh, just 1 second. Hold on. A very practical question. If I forgot Yala V'Yavo, I don't want to say, See, again, ironically, this year, the first night is a Shabbos. So on Shabbos, once I'm obligated to have a meal, then I'm obligated to say whatever else comes with it. So I'll give you an example here. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Good. Tonight is Tuesday night or Wednesday night of Hanukkah, and I'm washing, okay? And I had a very nice meal, and I benched. Remember, I'm the big shot. Doesn't have to look at me. I bench because I know it all by heart. And afterwards, I realized I did not say Al Hanisim. Come on, that's
Don't
right.
have to go back.
I don't have to go back. Why not? 1 second. Because I wasn't obligated in the first place to have bread. If I did have bread, then I should. And so that's why don't be the big shot and bench from the bencher. But it's very clear if I did forget Yalav, excuse me, Alanisim or Rosh Chodesh, same thing, Yalav. Here, it's not Shabbos. It's a Tuesday night, and it's Rosh Chodesh, and I'm washing. And I forgot Yalav. I don't go back because I didn't have to have bread. That's the rule. When you had to have it. So now, watch this. Here comes a curveball. Good Shabbos and happy Hanukkah. There's always going to be a Shabbos Hanukkah. Okay, good. So now, we had a very nice meal together, all right? And here we go. We're going to bench. Good. And I have to say Ritzay, because after all, it happens to be Shabbos. Good. And I should say Havanis, because after all, I'm benching and it's Hanukkah. But if it was a Tuesday night and I forgot Havanisim, I would not go back. Do I have to say the Havanisim on the Friday night or Shabbos day of Hanukkah? And the answer is yes. Why? It becomes upgraded. The same Alanisim, which if I miss Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't go back for, but now it becomes part and parcel of the Birkas HaMazon, and that's why if you Yabo, it's very interesting. I always say bench from the bencher. Okay, now watch. So 1 second. So the idea is this Friday night, I have to wash because it's Shabbos. Okay. So let's go to Sunday night. Mitzvah Hashem, it's Yontev. I forgot. So this Friday night, I'm going to say Ritzay, and I'm also going to say Yalva. And I have to say both, because after all, I'm obligated to recite the Birkas HaMazon because I was obligated to eat bread. So I'm going to say Yalva Friday night, Mitzvah Hashem. Now it's Saturday night, and I'm back to my old tricks. I'm not looking inside. I'm not going to say Ritzay because it's not Shabbos anymore. And I forgot Yalav this Sunday night. What's the din? I have to go back. Whoa. So what does it mean? It means that between the Rambam and this Sunday night, the obligation of eating bread has risen. So take a look at the end of this first paragraph. I'll get to your question in a second. Umikomoko. You ready? Here's underline this is your stuff. Take it home. It's very, very fascinating. Im shochach yalav v'yavo. You see it? The end of the first paragraph here. In other words, 2 and 2 should make 4. If I'm not obligated to eat the bread this Sunday night, then if I forgot Yalav v'yavo, I shouldn't have to go back. Umikomokom, you see it? 4 lines up from the bottom of this paragraph on top here. Im shochach Yalav v'yavo, b'Birkas HaMazon b'yom tov. Jerry Krantz, read the next 2 words. Machzirin also. You see it? We make him go back. Oh, Kimosha Kosev, as it's found in the laws of Birkas HaMazon, Kuf Peches, Ayin Shom. Why? Oh, and he gives a very interesting reason. Mishum, let's say I am a chassid of the Ran. The Ran, a few lines up, said, okay, you don't have to have bread, but it just won't do. Fruit, vegetables, and nuts are not going to do it. You have to have mizonos. Okay, so let's say I follow the Ran. Okay, so if I had mizonos anytime, all right, this morning, okay? No, this morning's not Yom Tov. So watch. In the bracha achas me'ein shalosh, what we call ala milchia val kakol val terumas asadeh. So if you look in the bencher, we include in the ala milchia whatever day it is. If it's Shabbos, ritzei val ritzei lebiyom Shabbos hazeh. If it's Rosh Chodesh, Zachrenu l'tova biyom Rosh HaChodesh hazeh. If it's Yom Tov, Sabchenu biyom Chag Matzos hazeh, Chag Shavuos hazeh, Chag HaSukkos hazeh. So if I only had cake, I would have said Chag HaSukkos in my ala milchia. So I have to include it as well in my benching for sure. And therefore, that is the halacha. So as far as benching in the sukkah, use your bencher. Because if you forget on either night, yalla v'yavo, you're going to go back. Good. But now, let's wrestle with this very important halacha here about having bread this Friday night or the first night of Sukkot. Let's remove it from Shabbos. The first night of Sukkot, no matter what night it is. What's your question? Let's hear. All right, when you think, let's go.
If you say bench, you forgot to say it, say it,
You have to go back.
you have to go back.
That's right.
So if you did say it, say it, and forgot to say yalla, then you have to go back again.
Whoa, very good question. In other words, you said ritzei, but you didn't say yal b'yavo. Or a better one, I forgot ritzei, so I'm gonna go back for ritzei. And in my second time around, I forgot yal b'yavo. Do I bench a third time? Well, you follow me? I know at some point, we're gonna say, you have to join Yossi and really stay after class for that one.
So in Eretz Yisrael, there's only one day.
Rabbi,
Here we have it.
Hmm?
We have 2 days of Yom. So is the application the same on the second day as it is on the first day?
Yes. We treat the second day completely like the first.
Don't expect it to be on. So
The only thing we don't, and this, I'm gonna just keep looming over you. The only difference between the first 2 days is, but this year you don't have it. When there are 2 days of taking the Esrog and Lulav, we're not gonna take the Esrog and Lulav Shabbos. So for sure, you're gonna make a Shachiyanu on Sunday morning when you take the Esrog and Lulav for the first time this year. But if Sukkot should be Tuesday, Wednesday, for argument's sake, then Tuesday, first day, Esrog and Lulav, you will make the Shachiyanu, and second day, you won't make the Shachiyanu. Now, I can't give you an answer. If you really want to know an answer.
well, we treat rain.
What?
Rains on the first night. You have to wait for a while and try to at least eat in the sukkah. But you can go on the raincoat and make kiddush. But the same application, learn is not the same from day to. So on one hand, it's not the same. You're saying for benching, it is the same.
Mendy, what are you serving for lunch? Now, you're lucky I have a 10:30 appointment. One second. No, shh, shh. Yeah, plenty of time. I love it. I love it. You're pointing out that basically different parts have different halachos, and you're right. You're right. So watch. Let's go on. Watch, yeah. Let's go to next halacha, Tezvav. Rabbeinu Beis Yosef in Siv Kibbutz. Paskas like the Rambam and writes that the Ramah writes, second line down, that you should not eat in the first night of Sukkot ad she'ei vaday laila. Okay? Now, this Friday night, it's Shabbos, and Mindy wants to know, Yudin, can we have early Shabbos this Friday night? And the answer is yes. Listen carefully, I'll go on record. You can have early Shabbos all year long. All year long. What does that mean? It means that at Shabbos, I've taken upon myself the halachos of Shabbos. As soon as I say Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbos, sun is still shining, I cannot do any malacha, okay? And on a regular, so during the winter time, let's go, the earliest, let's say, sunset is 4:30 approximately, in the winter time. So I can take in Shabbos, Plag Mincha is approximately 3:35. Okay, that's very, very important.
Is it Kiddush a problem?
What?
Is it Kiddush a problem?
No.
I mean, doing certain times of the year.
No. One second.
You can make Kiddush.
Yeah, but according to, one second, we're consistent.
So Pesach, don't wait for a certain time to make Kiddush on.
Pesach, hold on, so get there right now. What's it? Pesach, see, each of these have their own quirks. Pesach, because now you can mention your word of Korban Pesach. Since when it comes to the Korban Pesach, the Torah throws in one word. That changes everything. That's it. That I have to wait till the definitive night for the night of Pesach. Okay. But on a regular Shabbos in the winter time, we can have, a plaque minyan. So you would be davening mincha. Caffeine's working. You can daven mincha at approximately 3:15 on a December Friday, and as long as we finish by 3:33, whatever it is, when Plag Mincha is, then we can daven and go home. And while I am driving out to my driveway, you're going home to have a Shabbos meal, etc. No problem. So that you can do all year long. What's the problem? The question is on the night of Sukkot, okay? So it's a Friday night. Good. So this Friday night, if it was not Sukkot, listen carefully now, I could take in Shabbos early. What's the problem? If I want to eat early, I can't eat in the Sukkah. Look at what he's saying here, third line down, this Friday night. Add in the second paragraph, Tezvav, third line down, underline. Ad she'ei vaday laila. Number one, it's got to be definitively dark. Definitively dark by us is 42 minutes after sunset, 15 minutes after sunset. Okay, and we'll see where this is coming from. And v'yochel kodem chatzos laila. And make sure that you eat before mid the night. Okay, I didn't say 12 o'clock, I said mid the night. And v'lo yochel bayom, whoa. And in this coming Friday, you shouldn't eat, listen carefully now, mechatzos ve'elech. You shouldn't eat a big meal this Friday afternoon after midday. Why? Unbelievable. Here it comes. Kadesha yochal besuka l'tei ovo. In order that you should eat in the sukkah with a healthy appetite, here it comes, underline, dumya, comparable, lachilas matzah. Okay? All because of matzah, not the Korban Pesach, you'll see, but matzah. Now watch this. Ad kan l'sholom. So what does that mean? We're going to see in a second that, here, maybe I'll explain it. Vata, here we go. Tekiva di alfina mi matzah. There it is. You'll take my word for it. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, B'shloshes Midus HaTorah Midreshes, Mikal B'chomer, that's the first one. And what's the second one? Gzeira Shava. Gzeira Shava. How many Torahs? You can, all right, you guys see, we'll give you a chance. How many Torahs do we have? That's right. Now watch, you ready, Booby? Listen carefully. Here we are. The oral law says there's a concept called a Gzeira Shava. Now, you can't do this, Jonathan. We're happy to welcome you, but I'm just trying to tell you, you can't do this. What does that mean? Jonathan has the day off. He's got plenty of time. What's he going to do? He's going to take his chumash, and he's going to find a word here, and he's going to find a word there. He'll say, what? I'm going to make a Gzeira Shava, and I'm going to put, no, you can't apply the law of one to another. But the rabbis were able to do it, listen carefully, if and when they had a tradition. Even they couldn't make it up. And that's why it's very, very fascinating that from time to time, you can find in the Gemara where one rabbi disagreed with the other one because, excuse me, I didn't have this tradition from my teacher, from this teacher, etc. This Gzeira Shava is very well known, and that is as follows. The Torah says, and the Torah tells you, what's the date of Pesach? Chamisha Asar Yom, on the 15th day of the first month. And what's the date of Sukkot? Chamisha Asar Yom, the 15th day of the 7th month. So I would have said, okay, it makes sense. Come on. On the 15th day of the month, there's a full moon. And that's how the Jews in Russia, you ready, were able to know when it's 200 years ago, well, everybody without a calendar 200 years ago, and even in the 1900s, early part, when under Stalin, you just couldn't have a Jewish calendar, no problem. The one thing I always tell you that the Soviets couldn't take away was the moon. You see a full moon, Kajanta, I know, good. So that's one reason, but the bottom line is the Torah uses the same phrase, Chamishasa, Chamishasa. And the rabbis learned out from Pesach. Incredible. Now watch. Make sure I get this in right now. Be careful, everybody. I need a good definition for the word mifunok. Mifunok means, come on, it's a fancy word for it in English. Somebody who's very finicky. If it's a little cold, I don't go out. If it's a little hot, I don't go out. I'm very careful. I watch myself, etc. Okay, so now, listen to it. It's a little cool outside. Am I, from the letter of the law, you ready? From the letter of the law, am I allowed to eat anything during Sukkot? Forget about the first night. It's Mitzvah Hashem is coming Tuesday. Little chilly. All right. Am I allowed to eat anything outside the Sukkah? And the answer is yes. I can have my fruits, my vegetables, my cream. Okay, so I can have bananas and cream outside. Now, be careful now. Can I wash and eat bread from the letter of the law outside the sukkah? And the answer is yes. Now listen carefully. You can't walk out. Watch. There's bread and there's bread. There's kizayas, which is the literally the compressed volume of an olive, and there's kibetza. Betza is an egg, and kazayas is a olive. So listen carefully. It's very hard for me to tell you. You have a rye bread. So for sure, watch this. One slice of the rye bread is going to be a kazayas. So Milty, which slice? A slice in the middle of the rye bread or a slice towards the end? And it's not a silly question. It's an excellent question. Good. So I'm going to tell you that a slice in the middle, for sure. You've got yourself a kazayas, not a problem. But the Shulchan Aruch says, you ready? I'll read it to you. You shouldn't think that I'm making this up. Tough Reish Lamed Tes. That's where you have the laws of sukkahs. Now, yeah. Says the Shulchan Aruch. This is it's chapter 639:3. Eating in the sukkah on the first night of Sukkot is chova, quotes the Gemara. And where's the Gemara? Where's this found? It's a Mishnah in Sukkah 27. Now watch. Afilu achal kazayas. As long as you eat a kazayas of pas this Friday night, yotza Yudin chovaso. Listen to the Mishnah Berurah. Yeah. Why is that? Since we learned it out from matzah, and how much matzah do I have to eat on the first night? A kazayas matzah. That's how much I have to eat this Friday night in the sukkah. Now, listen carefully now. The Afal Gav, says the Mishnah Berurah, the Bishar Yomim, even though the rest of the week of Sukkot, Shiur Achila Chutz LaSukkah Kebetza. In other words, if I don't want to walk down the steps, I'm lazy. To get from my house to the sukkah, I have to walk down the steps. From the letter of the law, can I eat bread outside the sukkah? And the answer is yes. A kazayas. Period. You know what I'm saying? But if I want to have more bread, which many of us would have, a betza, no, for that you gotta go. So all week of Sukkot, there's betza. And on the first night of Sukkot, ironically, it's stricter that I must eat, but it's more lenient how much I have to eat. All right? So if there are people, now, ask your local Orthodox rabbi, gluten-free, etc. What are you going to do on the night of Pesach? Okay? So if you're going to tell me, no problem, on the night of Pesach, I'm going to get a barley matzah. I'm going to get a spelt matzah, a rye matzah, anything but wheat. So guess what? When you're buying it, remind them next year they should buy one more matzah because it's very expensive, understandably. Okay? Buy one more matzah and keep it for the first night of Sukkot. Because the first night of Sukkot, you're obligated to eat the sukkah if it's a man. Okay?
Rabbi,
Yes, my friend.
when I forgot to say Yalla
Yeah.
Yabo, and I go back, do I go back to the beginning of Yalla Yabo, or do I go back to the beginning of Birkat Hamazon?
Excellent. Good question. So the question is, where are you when you remembered that you forgot? Okay? So if you have, for sure, if you finished, going back to the beginning, okay? If you said, whoops, and you haven't started the fourth bracha, which is, okay, Levinu Malkeinu and Derenu Borenu, etc. So If you haven't started the fourth bracha, then you can't go back to Yalav Yavo. You follow? But once you finished the fourth bracha, even though you haven't said the Rachamans, you got to go back to the very beginning. Okay, so now let's get back over here. I don't want to confuse anybody, but I find this so exciting. One more time. Because you see, I have two Torahs, and the written Torah says that even though this Friday night is Sukkot, yes, there are some changes. Now, wait a second. So the first thing I need to hear this is, because I'm a little bit STINGY. I invite Jonathan to my sukkah this Friday night, and I'm cutting the challah, and he notices I'm cutting very thin slices, and everybody gets a piece of challah. Now, why am I giving you a thin slice? Because that's all you need. You follow? Come on, God forbid I would do that, but you understand what I'm saying? It's always nice to know. Come on, I had to come to class today to find out I have to eat the sukkah Friday night. No, but I hope that I'm not confusing anybody. I'm showing you, now wait a second, how important is that? Now let's get to practical, okay? Hopefully we had enough rain. Will be Yom Kippur, that it's not gonna rain this Friday night. Now, Milty is right, watch. If it is RAIN this Friday night, so the first thing we do is wait. Good? So technically speaking, how long do you wait? Sitting down? Technically, till Chatzos. I'm putting my glasses on. I don't want you to hit me. Technically, till Chatzos. But don't tell me Claire is not obligated to sit in the sukkah. But the rabbi said it's just not fair. You're a big shot. You want to eat in the sukkah. But thank God, Admir Yesrim, you've got a wife, and she's entitled to eat. And that Yiddish expression, Avyenim's plates is Segutz Schmeitzen, which means that you're going to be machbir on your wife's back. We have to wait because we have to eat in the sukkah. So the answer is you wait approximately half an hour if it doesn't stop raining. So here, very, very important, everybody. What are you doing? You're putting on your raincoat. You ready, Bubby? You're going in the sukkah in the rain. And you're going to make kiddush in the rain. Good. Watch. Without a leishe basukah. Interesting. Okay, you can make a shechiyanu because it's yonta, but you're not making a shechiyanu if it's raining. Okay. But, so wait a second. So Milty is pushing, says, Yudin, if you're not making a shechiyanu, if you're not making a leishe basukah, if it's raining, then what are we doing here? All because of matzah, all because of chamisha chasam. Now watch. So therefore, listen carefully. What are we going to do? We're going to go in the house. We're going to wash. And what's in your pocket? Plastic bag. What's in the plastic bag? A piece of challah. Good. Piece of bread. And you're going to go into the sukkah. And you're going to make a motzi in the rain. And not achilas matzah, but you're going to eat that piece of bread in the sukkah, in the rain, and then go in the house and finish your meal in the house. Wait, one second. I'm sorry? You're benching in the house. Yeah. You're benching in the house. What? No, you don't need lechem. Pubi, you don't need lechem mishnah. Hold on a second. You're in the rain, okay? So this is breaking all the rules, okay? On the one hand, let's go slowly. The Torah says in chapter 23 of Vayikra, Basukos Teishvu Shivas Yomim. You are to reside in the sukkah 7 days. And what does the oral law say? Tell us that you are to reside in the sukkah for 7 days. Teishvu ke'ein toduru, as you would reside in your house. None of us would reside in our house if there was a bad leak. If there was a bad leak in our house, I'd go to my friends, I'd go to my relative. I wouldn't be sitting in my kitchen with an umbrella if it was raining. So if my sukkah is like my house, and that's why any other time other than the first night, it's, I have to watch my words very carefully. I do believe, and I hope I'm wrong, but I do believe that Chabad do eat in the rain. I'm sure they don't sing smiras in the rain, and I'm sure they make it fast, but I believe they do. This is not a normative practice. We are taught that literally when it's raining, it's not sukkahs, except for the first night. And what's driving the first night is that chamisha so. So now, let me let the dust settle. The main thing is, we should live and be well. It's not going to rain Friday night. You're not going to eat. I'm on such a strict diet. I'm only, in other words, how much do I have to eat a kazayas? How much should I eat? Come on, eat a nice amount because, listen carefully, now watch this. Torah Tuesday, another 10, 15 minutes. There's 10, 15 minutes.
Rabbi?
Okay, 1 second. Yeah.
So it's raining out, right? So I go outside with my gear and I make a kiddush in the sukkah, right? And then I wash, and then I'm coming back inside to continue my meal.
Not your meal. No, you're eating the piece of challah.
Right.
You washed in the house. You
Right.
made kiddush in the sukkah. You wash in the house. You go back into the sukkah. You take that thing out of your pocket. You make hamotzi,
And then I'm coming
and then you go
into
back in the house. Good.
And then I'm up to my dessert.
Good.
And then the rain stops.
What do you mean dessert? You're up to the chicken.
No, let's go to
You
dessert.
keep sending honey.
I'm up to dessert.
Honey is a honey.
It's dessert, it's dessert. Now can I go back out?
Oh,
right
that's
now
the problem.
and make a bracha on the
One second.
dessert?
Honey is Honey is raising a major problem. Okay, Yudin's right, it stopped. And now Honey's saying, but you know what? I don't know about your sukkah, Yudin. My sukkah, after it stops raining, it drips. Okay, so even that, how much of a drip is it? You know what I mean? So the criteria is, seriously, if the drip would spoil your soup, then you've got, come on. Jerry, a little bit of rain, a little bit of dripping wouldn't hurt you. Yeah, but if it's not a little bit, it's such that you can't eat like. So these are very complicated halachos. So, is that right? Is that right? Yeah. Okay, good. I want you to know, I recall on several occasions, it's Yom Tov, first day, second day, etc. And it's drizzling out, whatever it is, etc. Okay, so what's it now? Okay, so, okay, everybody, we're going down. And then, you're right, it could be challenging, no question. Schwertz is I did, but the last thing I want to do is confuse anybody. Here we go. Very clear. Because it's a biblical mitzvah, you ready? The question is, how much of a rule breaker is Friday night, the first night? Meaning, like I told you, you're coming home any night of Sukkot and it's raining. There's no question. It's Chol Hamoed, it's raining. And you want to have bread, okay? Your wife made you a matzah bride, which comes, to have in the sukkah, but it's raining. So you have to say, maybe let's have cheese and cream. But no, if it's raining, it's not sukkahs, okay? So the question is, what about the first night? So there are those that say, the first night's no different. It's raining, it's not sukkahs. What's this whole thing? But since we have this chamisha sar, and that, is gonna win out. So that's why we go through all these, chumras, which is a kula. Kula is that when you come to my house for lunch, I'm gonna give you, Jonathan, a nice piece of challah. When he comes Friday night, if I'm a cheapo, I'm gonna give him just a small piece of challah this Friday night, because technically that's all you have to eat. If you understand what I'm saying. I don't mean it seriously, so you know. Okay.
Rabbi,
Yes.
so I'll beg the question, go back to basics. It's interesting. So because of Shabbos, right? The negative of Shabbos, we're not carrying a little of an esrog to shul. But Shabbos is losing out to Pesach to eat a kazayas.
Because again, there are different factors, etc. Now, interesting, the reason why we're not taking the esrog and lulav for the same reason that we didn't blow shofar on Shabbos. In other words, there are different sets, each halacha has its own background, okay? Now, I just hope that in no way, all right, here, that in no way that have I confused you.
Not at all. Not at all.
Good. Now, you see, here, take a look for 1 second, my friends. You ready? Yeah. At the bottom right, Tezayin. Old Kosa. This is my doing Shiur for the times I had to leave early to run to yeshiva. But I don't have yeshiva today, so like I said, I have all day. We find at the end of Sifhei, it says, now watch, also as far as Kshamim, rain, Yesh Chumra B'layla Rishona, there's a Chumra this Friday night, more than the rest of the week. The B'chol HaChag, throughout the week, when it rains, Maniach Sukkah, so you leave the Sukkah, the Yotzei, you don't go in. V'im Enu Yotzei, and if you don't leave the Sukkah in the rain, take a look, Have Kehejo, do you see that? Forgive me, simpleton. Okay, that's what hedge means. You're foolish. And what are you doing? You don't know. Kemoshi is boer. Abo b'layla rishon. Tzorach lecho kazayis b'sukkah af im kshamim yordim. And listen carefully. Be a kadesh b'sukkah. Kadesh lomar zman al hasukkah. Okay, but you're not making a leshe. Adkan l'shon. Came posku. This is the psak of the tour and the smag and the ran, and Ba'cherim omrim, top of the left-hand column, same page. Telachi gamrinon leil yom tov rishon shel chag, from chag matzos, good. Lomar shafilu yoduk shomim chayev lecho b'sukkah. Avagav, even though you're excused from the sukkah the rest of the week, and so too the rush. However, fourth line down, Harashba, in his teachings, Dochol L'Dvarim Elu, and so too in the name of his Rabbi, which I think is the Ramban, She'ein Chiluk Bein Lailo Rishono L'Chol HaLeilos, no difference, because of B'Shem Godel Ador Mitzorfas, Shehoya Mechayev Rishon B'Laila HaRishona Av Whoa, look at that. Even the one opinion says the extreme that even don't get any ideas, anybody, that you should sleep in the sukkah, even in the rain. So, l'chol ha'pachol shinas aroi, whoa, but that was rejected. Okay, shinas aroi means less than a half an hour, but okay. Now, Yud Zayin, the reason for this machlokas, those who exempt you on the first night are of the opinion that you require Teshvu Ke'eg Teduru. That's the law of Sukkot, and it applies all the time, like your house. No one stays in a house of rain. ואי משום דאיסקה של חג המצות, זהו שיוכל בסוכה כשרוי לשי בסוכה. וואו. וגם לילה ראשון לא נפקא בכלל תשו כאין תדורו. So there are those that say, forgive me, that if it's raining this Friday night, you don't have to eat anything in the sukkah. In other words, we treat the first night like the rest. And others say, no, that Chamisha overrides the halacha of Teshuvah Ke'en Taduru. Good. Those that obligate you to Laila Rishona, Eino B'chlal, Pasukas Teshuvah Shivas Yomim, the Nasra Teshuvah Ke'en Taduru. Zeh al Kol Achad, Laila Rishona, Chamisha. Okay, so it all boils down to one interesting idea. What's the halacha this Friday night? Is it like the rest of Sukkot? In which case, if it's raining, or no? It has its own laws of chamishas or chamishas. So the answer is we try to follow both opinions, which means we wait a half an hour and eat a little bit at a piece of challah in the rain, so we satisfied the 15 chamishos or chamishos.
Rabbi,
Okay.
Rabbi,
Yes.
maybe you said it and I missed it. Halakhically, how long do you have to wait in the rain if the rain doesn't subside?
Seriously, I don't think you have to wait more than a half an hour.
Half hour?
That's right. Half hour. Good. Okay. Have a wonderful yontiv, everybody.
You two have a good Gaben Shiur. Kasima Tova, have a great year, a great yontiv, and a dry yontiv.
Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi.
That's better. That's good.